Hello, my friends. This is Rich, and we are looking at your seat at the table, right? And we're looking at Interstellar Fires to Watch. I'm a little bit having one of the mornings, trust me. Anyway, so I got some notes because I want to get everything covered up here. So, all warfare is based on deception. There is no place where espionage is not used. Offer the enemy bait to lure him in. Sung Zhao. Enemies are either defeated, befriended, or bypassed. Stuart Stafford. So in a society where honor and honest dealings are the mandate, to promote and let alone support an intelligence service is nearly impossible. And yet the Clan Watch does exist. During its early days, especially in the lore for Battletech, it was a bit confusing, but things like everything evolve over time. So in the early years of the clan invasion left many Intersphere analysts and speculators with the impression that the Watch didn't exist prior to the invasion. Even within the majority of the clan case, the very idea of clansmen behaving in a very unclan-like way is as an alien idea as the opposite is to the inner sphere. Yet within very select circles, it is known that the various forms of the Watch existed since the earliest days of the clans. In the dramatic lead up to the trial of annihilation of Clan Wolverine, both the Khan of the Widowmakers and Nicholas Kerensky himself stood accused of spying on the Wolverines. That Nicholas even condoned the concept of limited espionage in order to keep an eye on his newly born social and political creation was suppressed by future lore masters. Khan Carriage used spies and disinformation to turn Nicholas against the Wolverines. He also used the Widowmaker's warriors disguised as Wolverine techs to steal a nuke from a disputed Brian catch. And then whose use later on was blamed on the not named clan. Later, when Nicholas discovers these actions and to spur further conflict, he orders a cover-up of the facts. Here's my narrator's notes. Most of these facts were uncovered by Felon Ward, while Khan of Clan Wolf, and since when it is assumed had access to ultra-secret records from Nicholas himself. So you can take that with whatever grain of salt you need. So, how much of the espionage is used within the other clan case is unknown, and I can only speculate, but spying is a force equalizer where physical power lies in the hands of the top levels. It behooves the other case to engage in such practices. So most likely exists at all levels of the clans, just as like it exists at all levels of society in the inner sphere. Each house is spies on each other. They have agencies to try to counter that spying, as you well know. They spy on their own nobility and their own wealthy individuals. In some cases, they spy on the entire society. And within the society, corporations defend against espionage and conduct espionage of their own against competitors, against other interested parties, or etc., etc. This just goes through on and on and on. So this is a standard accepted thing, even though a lot of people will lambast it and pretend that it's not. So, for the majority of clans' existence, prior to the arrival to the inner sphere, espionage was little used, say perhaps in limited ways, as a form of reconnaissance and as a way of keeping an eye on various suspicious elements within the lore case, i.e. the scientists, merchants, etc. Even this application was few and far in between, as it would seem, for the other case were more often as not left to their own devices within with warrior oversight based upon individual clans and the clan-by-clan basis. Most audacious use of the espionage would have been the Wolf's Dragoons. Wolf's Dragoons' mission was to enter the inner sphere and reconnoiter the various houses, discover the state of affairs, the tech levels, the military readiness and effectiveness, and in preparation for the pending invasion. And even then, the clan leadership despised the very idea of spying, even on the inner sphere. For the most part, the various Clan Khans ignored the Dragoons' intelligence either directly out of disdain. After all, what possibly could a bunch of freebirths know, and what possible threat could an entire inner sphere full of freebirths be to the ultimate warriors? Although it must be said that a precious few Khans and clan leadership did pay attention. Knowledge is power, says Francis Bacon. Another quote. For a culture who believes in honesty and truth as part of the measure of a warrior, the very concept of espionage is an aversion of everything Nicholas Kerensky supposedly envisioned for his clans. Very unclan-like behavior. But even the Khans grudgingly accept that there are times. So we're going to turn to the books and go what we got in here. All right. So we look at an overview. The basically concept here is that it was a necessary evil, and even then it was considered adherent to just about everything. So even though most of the clans have a chapter of the Watch, in theory, the Watch responds and answers to the Elk Clan, and the Clan Council directly, but each individual clan has its own version of the Watch, and the effectiveness and the resources that are allotted to that varies based on the individual clans and their belief systems and or adherence to the concept of it. So when the inner sphere, when they encounter the inner sphere and start taking a lot of hits and damage and losses, in part because of the effectiveness of the inner sphere's intelligence machinery, the clans are find themselves in a position where they have to respond, if not in kind, attempt to negate as much as they can. So they have to increasingly encourage the Watch to become more effective and to become a little bit more widespread. Clan Wolf, of the clans, Clan Wolf is probably the one with the most effective version of the Watch. I find it ironic that out of all the intelligence services in the Inner Sphere and the clans, that at the time of the 3050 invasion, Comstar's ROM is the most superior, and in part because Comstar has access to untold amounts of information that's transmitted by the HPG network, and because they still maintain a small supply and the ability to manufacture Starlink era technology that's in that used in the realm of espionage. So the fact is that they have most superior intelligence service of all of them is not totally surprising. Let's keep in mind, like all things, good and bad, ROM was very superior in many fields, but they were inferior to other house intelligence services in other fields. So when it comes to pure capability and destructiveness, the ISF's much superior, or the most superior when it comes to that sort of thing, followed by the Masquerade and then Milo. It's all a matter of conjecture because it's depending on the views of who's interpreting it and the situation at the given moment. So the fact that Wolf's Dragoons seems to have their WolfNet intelligence network seems to be better than ROM in some cases, definitely far superior to anything the Clan and Watch could produce, which is ironic considering where the Wolf's Dragoons originate from. Fact to say that Wolf's Dragoons, their freedom from the Clan rules, regulations, and morals have given them many edges over the Inner Sphere than their Clan counterparts would be. So we know that Clan Wolf draws its intelligence operatives from the ranks of technical case, freebirths, and former warriors who, through age or debilitating injury, no longer serve active duty. The least conservative of the clans, Clan Wolf recognizes talented freebirth soldiers, uses their capabilities rather than recruiting Watch operatives from the malcontents and other misfit. Clan Wolf treats its Watch operative as military subcase, according them a measure of respect not found in the traditionalist clans. As with any other clan, however, individuals within Clan Wolf may go to great lengths to display their contempt for members of the Watch. Strong support from the clans, especially junior, etc., etc. So then the second most effective Watch would belong to the Clan Jade Falcon. The Falcon recruits all members of its watch contingent from the ranks of the Sabiku-born mech warriors who tested out of active service. As with Clan Wolf, Clan Jade Falcon treats its watch contingent with the honor due to a military subcase, and backing from Clan Shistu ensures them a warrior's legal status and the facts as well as rank. Although the Falcons tend to be intelligence service allows its members to honor the way the clan and requires no dishonorable behavior, even they must still contend with a certain amount of automatic hostility to the entire concept of the watch. So the clan Wolf's watch is much more proactive and would be the closest equivalent of the clan's watch to an intersphere intelligence ministry or service, as opposed to Jade Falcon, which primarily is an information and analyst system. So instead of conducting what they consider dishonorable actions, for the most part, their watch are observers and snoopers, as if you want to go from that. And it spends as much time watching the inner workings of their own clan, lowercase, as they do their neighbors. Right. The rest of the clans are hit or miss, and some are very indifferent. Some are pretty much toast, no matter how you look at it. So we look at one. Where does it go? Yes, the watch holds primary responsibility for counteracting enemy infiltration, partisan movements in the occupied zones, which they do their best with their meager. They do the best of their meager ability because the clans in general hold such opponents as enemy agents and civilian resistors in low esteem. By battling these factions, and clan watch performs the task that a warrior could stoop to. So, etc. Brief history. Command and control, command structure and operations. Although the watch technically answers to the Grand Council, who have overall responsibility for policy and command decisions, each occupying clan directs a watch unit responsible to the clan's con. Known as branches, the watches of the clan Smoke Jaguar, Ghost Bear, Steel Viper, and Nova Cat use much of the same structure and methods of operation. Clans Wolf and Jade Falcon each approach the intelligence agency from a different viewpoint, and their branches are considered separately. Because the majority of the invading clans regard intelligence services lower than status in the military case, and the watch operatives and leaders hold no power within the clan command structure. On the rare occasions when their commanders are even bothered to notice them, they only wish to know how soon the watch can guarantee the ends of acts of sabotage by resistance groups and enemy agents. Each unit of the watch has jurisdiction in its own occupation zone, handled by its own clan's problems, partisan groups, and enemy operatives. So let's take that into a slight segue. So when we look at the idea of how the clan watch in general, it's in any kind of intelligence system sets up. It's also, there are civilian counterparts that are as effective, at many varying degrees, as effective from being worthless to worse than worthless to being extremely proficient. There are also independents. There are agents for hire. Just they're mercenaries as well. So you can see you have this whole gamut, and in many aspects, the clan system is established on this honorable behavior, this deep set knowledge of place. So the warrior cases in general expect the population to behave in a clan-like manner, upholding clan-like ideals. And so on clan-held worlds, the odds of really deep espionage or sabotage or acts of terrorism are fairly rare. They do occur, but they're fairly rare. And generally, when it does happen, as we've seen in the novels, the way that the clans react, the clan warrior case, will go to a region or a town or the neighborhood and demand that the perpetrators of whatever act that took place, present themselves for summary discipline. And when they don't, they just randomly pick 10 people or 5 people and shoot them or stomp on them or arrest them or whatever. And then they continue to proceed like this until they either and in many cases, you don't have to be the saboteurs. If somebody else wants to see the bloodshed and the destruction end, they will, and volunteer, the clan will take that at face value as, the clan doesn't lie, why would they lie, kind of thing, and that's the end of it. So the clan warrior's idea is basically taking a hammer to destroy an ant farm. You can disrupt that ant farm, but you're not going to destroy all the individual ants, nor are you going to keep the ants from doing what they're going to do, not with a hammer. Just that's just not the way it's going to work. It's going to take a lot more fine manipulation and control, and that's where the ability that of the espionage of these services that can help provide. And so when we look at this stuff, we go back to command structure and things like this. Goes through. There's a lot of it's got to do with, let's see, many Intersphere intelligence agents find the clan concept intelligence amusing. Those who know anything about clan interrogation tactics genuinely fear capture by the Watch. A few agents unlucky enough to undergo interrogation by the Klan suffer a painful ordeal. Using methods borrowed from Klan police forces, the interrogation team and at least 3 operatives strap the captured agent into a metal table under harsh spotlight and connects them to a biomonitor similar to those once used as lie detectors. The operatives then assign read the biomonitor and then floods the agent's system with a psychoactive drug that enhances the emotional responses and sensory perceptions, and the other 2 take turns questioning the enemy agent using the good-bad roles common to most interrogations. This physical and emotional hypersensitivity has 2 effects. Robs the agent a logical thought and the will to resist, and enables interrogators to inflict excruciating pain simply by touching the captain's skin or slightly increasing the intensity of light. Increased dosage of psychoactive chemical alone can heighten sensitivity to the point of agony, and if continued too long, may drive the captured agent to madness. The biomonitor measures stress reactions to questions, allowing interrogators to judge whether or not their captive is concealing information or resisting the effects of drugs. So even the most diehard, hardened, resistant 007 may find himself breaking under that kind of interrogation process. And the clients have no qualms about doing that sort of behavior because, that's what they do. And different set of worlds. And and there's a lot of people, I'm in the camp that believes that the clans are the bad guys all the time. Yeah, there's a few good white hats in the clans, but the lion's share of the clans are bad guys, and their whole system is corrupt and bad as in relation to the standard knowledge of, or the standard understanding of how the Intersphere and the old Star League operated. That's just my personal opinion. So the fact that they don't do even more, and in some cases, they have no problems resorting to physical torture, physical mental torture. And there are a few cases of that crop up in the corners of some of the novels and storylines. So it is quite plausible, right? So there you go. The access. So when we add this to the access to the Star League era tech and the Clan era manufacturing by a tech advantage alone, the watch should be equal to any of the inner sphere. For example, there's a story that brings up one of the Bug-Eye cruisers, the warships, basically spy ships that still apparently exist and controlled by in a small numbers by the clans, because they accompanied the expedition to away from the inner sphere when the SLDF left. Yet, while the inherence and reluctance to accept most intel uncovered by such loathsome means is a wonder that the watch functions at all. So let's look at that too. In the current story going on, and I'm not off the top of my head, I don't remember which one of the current novels I read, and I know it's not this one. The Khan of Ghost Bear, or one of the colonels, Jade Falcons. Maybe it's the Wolf Clan. Anyway, the watch brings some very pertinent information to the attention of the Khan, who seems to be even surprised that he has a watch contingent and that the watch contingent is still intact and that they're still doing their job. And it doesn't go he doesn't belabor this in the novel. It doesn't go into any great segues on it. But the truth is, it just seemed to me as a great example of how the watch is both received and operates within the clans themselves. So when we look at all the different places and agencies and services within the inner sphere and operating around the inner sphere, truth is the clan watch is probably the worst of the batch. And there was a while, for a long time before the clans invaded, that was often given to SAFE. Search and find everything, or search and find everyone. I'm pretty sure that acronym is not, that explanation for the acronym is not correct, but because I have never actually seen a formal meaning of what SAFE means. But for the Free Worlds League Intelligence Service, it has a lot of comparison to the clans in some ways. there's so many diverse and smaller political bodies within the Free World's League that each one maintains some version of an intelligence agency in service. Some are independent, some are secret, some have absolutely no connection to the federal government version at all, and some of them are just shadows of SAFE. Meanwhile, SAFE itself, a lot of its for many of its years of conception, it was hidebound or tethered to the Parliament, because Parliament controlled the purse strings and the operational budget for SAFE. So while the Captain General could direct SAFE to do certain things or to expect certain amounts of levels of intelligence gathered and presented to them from SAFE, SAFE was often hamstrung or hampered by this political system of infighting that takes place. So it's not that in the Free World's League, unlike in the clans, they actually understand the value of intelligence and intelligence services and counter ops and special force kind of operations under the table, CIA kind of things, and then the clans. But the fact that they're so more focused on internal issues and concerns that they often overlook external problems and or the elements within SAFE that are tasked to keep an eye on their neighbors and quote allies, the Commonwealth, the Confederation, for example, are often woefully understaffed, woefully underfunded, and that affects morale and efficiency in a lot of ways that's hard to define in a small short moment. So you look at the same thing. A lot of the watch in the clans are staffed by people who don't want to be there in the first place, are totally disgusted by their own system, or discouraged, or disillusioned by their own system, and are only going through the motions. There are a handful of people who are devoted to whatever it is they are assigned to do, and they do it to the best of their abilities. And it's individuals like this that make the clan watch have any kind of effectiveness at all. That and the other common adage: a stopped clock is right twice a day. So even the most mediocre intelligence service can get lucky. Once in a while, they're going to get accurate information that's pertinent and in a timely manner and presented to somebody who actually pays attention and cares and acts on it to the benefit of the clan or whomever. The lion's share of the time, it doesn't work out that way. So that's one of those interstellar players within the watch. If the clan, I have to speculate, and of course I have to wonder in my mind, if the watch operated more similar to WolfNet, and if just in information gathering alone was allowed less fettered access to resources and talent, and encouraged to actively be proactive about intelligence gathering and information, and if nothing else, then just how much more effective the watch would be, and how much more beneficial it would be for the clan leadership. Because if they could keep a bigger eye on things, have more information, more understanding of who's where, why they're there, what they're doing, and so on, it's more than worth the effort to make. But that just goes so anti-clan. It goes so against the clan warrior case ideals of what and how things should operate, that they struggle with the very idea of having skullduggery and backroom antics. And that sort of thing is for the dark case and not for a warrior case society, a warrior class society. Well, anyway, this is Rick, and I know this was, could have done a little better. I had more in plan, and my notes kind of fell short at a critical point. It's just I've been having a hell of a week, dude and dudettes. And here we go on a personal diatribe. So, that's just kind of the way it goes. We're going to put this in here, and then I'm going to ramble for just a few seconds because I need to vent. Oh my God, right? I just had to pull a cat off the roof of our house. How Fluffy got up in the tree and got on the roof, I don't know. And then early this morning, one of our stray cats has been missing since Tuesday. Early this morning, I went out to go get my typical Sunday morning is to go to the nearby convenience store, get a fancy coffee and a Sunday paper for the wife to flip through looking for ads. And I started hearing a cat crying a very distant cat crying. And my hearing's getting dodgy as I get older. My right ear does not hear nearly as good as my left. So I didn't know if I was just hearing things or if it's just having one of the moments. So I started to follow the damn cry, and then the wife says, "Well, I heard that earlier too." Well, unlike her, I followed it, and I followed it right up into a neighbor's yard, and the house that where all these strays came from. The old lady who passed away. The new owners have been remodeling this house, and they were out Tuesday and did a bunch of work, and we haven't seen Thumper since Tuesday. Thumper is one of the strays we took to the ARL last year and got himself they got their trap neuter release program SNP. So he's fixed. He's got a chip in him, etc. He's got all the shots and stuff. And he's pretty regular at the house. We call him Thumper because he likes to jump up on the windowsill and start pulling at the screen, making a kind of a thumping sound in order to get your attention. So they'll let you know he's out there and he wants fed. And I look up the driveway and I'm looking in the weeds and behind this property is a bunch of old cars. The next property over is the back end of a repair shop slash two-bit car lot that's got lots of junkers sitting back there collecting weeds and dirt, and the cats like to go hang out back there for a lot of reasons. And so I'm thinking, well, maybe somebody's over there. I'm just hearing something, and it's still not hearing it. It's very faint. So I give up and I'm about ready to go home. So I turn around and walk back down the driveway, and lo and behold, there's the damn cat. He's sitting up in the porch window of Jen's house, and the house is all locked up. And he's been in there since Tuesday afternoon. So this poor cat's been there since Tuesday and has not had food or water. Now there's a chance that there have been some ice and other things in there. Maybe there was some water in there, but I don't know. I'm working on the assumption that that's not so. Now I got a dilemma. I do not know who owns this house. I vaguely know who they are, let alone I do not have any way to contact them. And I had to make, do I call the authorities and see if they can do anything? And if they don't, then what am I willing to do? Well, I'm willing to go and get go over here and cut this. They got a padlock on the front door to this porch. And I was 2 minutes away from just taking my grinder over and cutting this damn padlock off and leaving a note and $20 in an envelope and saying for a replacement padlock and apologizing for the situation because it's an illegal thing to do, and several acts of it. Just walking up on the property is considered trespassing if they want to push an issue, and breaking and entering, no matter how noble or how whatever it might seem, can also still be a problem if they want to push it. So, I don't know these people from Adam, but I do know Thumper. And though he's a stray cat, and though technically nobody owns Thumper, I kind of feel responsible a little bit for him. So I went home and I called the local sheriff's department. They sent out animal control, and they actually were pretty prompt. They showed up and they managed to jimmy one of the windows open on the porch, and then she allowed my wife to get up there with a big plate of wet food and encouraged Thumper. Because the minute he saw the cops, he ran and hid in the house, and we were starting to wonder if we was going to get him in or out at all. Meanwhile, he's now outside. He's had several plates, and he's sticking around the house pretty close right now. So we saved his life. Earlier in the week, last Monday, I was doing some videos, and Frankie, our shelter cat, who I dearly love, had taken to laying behind my chair, and I didn't know it. And I backed up, and apparently ran over her paw with the chair, and because she squawked and then shot out of the room like a cannon. And she seemed to be fine until about, once again, Tuesday, and I started noticing her limping. By Wednesday, she was sleeping pretty bad, and I started to worry that maybe her paw got broken. Well, I've said before, I don't have a lot of money. I make $18 an hour, and it takes every look of my $18 an hour to keep the bills paid and things going. And every now and then I get quite a bit of overtime, which means I got to kill myself working the hours, but that's how we make money to do other stuff. Anyway, so there goes a vet bill. So I had to find a vet. Then I found a vet that would take the care card I got for the pets, and then one that could get us in. And then I had to explain to him repeatedly that I didn't have this card's only good for so much, and we can't afford to put $1,000 on any pet we own. And I feel horrible about that. And I hear a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't have a pet if you can't afford to do all the blah, blah, blah. Well, that's easier said than done. That really is easier said than done. So in the end, we took her in. She had her x-rays. Thankfully, nothing's broken or fractured. The parents said she had the pinch one of her claws and caused an abscess, swelling, and an infection, which is the lady gave her a painkiller shot. And then 10 days worth of antibiotics for us to administer to her food. And then a day later, so she seems to be well on the mend. She's no longer limping on the paw. Apparently, the thing burst and freaked my wife out because she started bleeding all over a chair. But ever since then, she's acting like her normal rambunctious self. So $231 charge on my yet another credit card bill later. And just to make things fun, it's a week for cats. So my wife comes right and getting ready to start this video. The wife comes running in with Fluffy, the neighbor cat that we look after, is up on the roof and he can't get down. So I had to figure out how to go up and get him down. Get him down, I did. And I came in here to do this, Meanwhile, as the drama continues to turn, as the trash can flips, I was at work Friday night. Now, generally, I don't like to work Friday nights if I can help it, but because I took a Monday off, I had to make up for the customers have to be serviced, and I need them hours. I need to at least get 40. So I found myself working 17 hours on Friday. I worked 6 in the morning and then almost 11, a little over 11 in the evening. So I went to work at 6 and came home around 5:30 in the morning. So about 3 o'clock in the morning, the driver of one of my competitors pulled up to the dump station where we were unloading, and he came straight over to my truck, and he says, "My boss wants to hire you." And he said to call him. "My boss will pay you $25 an hour. $25 an hour. In my entire lifetime, I can't envision ever having had a job that even come close to that. Even though I have a computer, honestly, I have an Associate Applied Sciences degree. I got the damn diploma sitting over here, freaking collecting dust for computer-aided design, 3D rendering, all that fine stuff. The problem was I never got to put it to use. I couldn't find a job at the time I got it. Things were pretty rough, and it caused a lot of problems and interconnected problems. Anyway, lots of baggage down the road for the fat man. The idea. I make $18 an hour now, a $7 raise. It's like $1,000 a week, just straight 40. Of course, you don't get that after everything's taken out. But it's all nights. The good side is it doesn't have any inside jobs, so or very few inside. The punky ones that can be a pain in the ass are mostly outside. Just pull up, pop a manhole, throw a hose down, let the truck do its business, and repeat. Go dump the truck. The good job that I have is I'm it. I've been working for my boss 6 years now, and I'm all he has that does what I do. And it's real hard to find people that do what I do in our field. There's a reason why this is the second competitor who's flat out. I've yet to have their actual bosses come by, but I wonder if that's just down the road. I know if I walked in right now to at least 3 different places, I could have a job tomorrow, paying better money than I get. They all offer health care, but the health care costs money. Their drivers pay out of pocket. One driver's got a deductible of $4,000 a year before his insurance kicks in. So he's making good money, but then he's got medical problems. He's spending a lot of his personal money on that. I don't have health insurance. I've been fortunate to go to a local county hospital, and they have a program there because I make under X amount of dollars. So I qualify for it. I'm pretty damn sure at $25 an hour I would no longer qualify for it. And it's through them that I've had my teeth done, and I've had my diabetes gotten under control, and I've had a couple surgeries on minor surgeries for skin cancer kind of stuff, all taken care of, and the bills were almost non-existent. That's a perk. The other perk is my employers really need me. I feel like I'm obligated. Not that I'm obligated to them. It's just I don't know. Third, I'm not a big fan of change. I'm getting old, and that's part of getting old, I'm told. There's some unknowns. I know eventually I'm going to have to get another job because my employer is going to retire or die from his medical problems. That's just a reality, whole reality effect. But they look after me pretty good, and weeks where the truck's broke, they keep paying me even though I have to pay them back. They advance me money if I need it. You know, my van were to break down tomorrow and they needed money, they would help me. I'd have to pay them back, of course, but they would help me. They also pay my wife some money under the table to go up every couple of weeks to clean the shop office and stuff, and they're pretty good to her. We're only 3 blocks from work, so I could walk to work if the van did break down. And the boss let me bring the truck home if I wanted to park the damn thing in my driveway. But I don't know. I just don't know. It's been one of them weeks. Anyway, that's for me, and I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I hope I didn't bug the crap out of you for this. Till next time.